welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video in my series of videos about how to pass an advanced driving test. And in this video we're going to look at not specifically a skill, but an element of the driving test, the advanced driving test, that is really important, and that is knowledge. It's one of the key elements that we mark you on as an examiner on the IM test and on the ROSPA test. In the police, it's something that you will be tested on in the classroom. You'll be required to do highway code tests and roadcraft tests to test your knowledge. It might sound really obvious this, but you do need to have a good knowledge, a good technical knowledge about what you're doing, as well as just being able to drive the car. You know, I've been out in the car with some very skilled racing drivers, rally drivers, and then when I started asking them basic questions about highway code and roadcraft, they've just glazed over and gone blank. The point is that those people are not bad drivers. The point is that if you want to be an advanced driver, a better driver, it's not just about the physical skills, it's not just about how you control the car. It's about what you know and what you learn during the process and how you use that information. In the last video we talked about planning. And the more knowledge you've got about the environment that we're operating in, the better able you will be to make good driving plans and put those plans into place, make you drive safer and better controlled. So let's look at how your knowledge is tested on the advanced driving test to start with. Well, you know, for ROSPA and for IM Road Smart, you're not asked to do a written test of any description, but the examiner has to mark you on your knowledge. So what knowledge are we looking at? Well, yes, I want to know that you've got a good understanding of roadcraft and the system of car control especially, and I want to see that you've got a good understanding of the environment, by which I mean what are you allowed to do, what are you not allowed to do, what do the road signs mean, what do the road markings mean, the other clues that are out there. Have you got the knowledge to pick up on them and understand what those clues are trying to tell us? So in order to test that knowledge, I may ask my candidates a few questions during the drive. Now, there might be one or two of you out there who were tested by me on your advanced driving test. And you'll know that I don't like to sit there in silence, just writing things down. I like to engage you in a conversation, have a bit of a chat with you as we're driving around. I feel that that's the best way to get the best out of a candidate on advanced driving test. It means you're a bit more relaxed, it means you're not as nervous, and it means you can see me as a human being, not just a machine that's sat there next to you. But during that conversation, I'll be testing your knowledge. And the other time that I might be doing it is when you're commentating. You might say something during a commentary, and I might ask for you to expand on it. And that's my way of testing your knowledge. So if somebody says to me, for example, during commentary, we're driving along this road now and it is a national speed limit road, I may well ask that candidate, okay, what is the national speed limit on this road? And as you can see, it's a single carriageway road. National speed limit on single carriageways in the UK is 60 miles an hour. But I might ask you when you're on a dual carriageway. So make sure you know the difference, make sure you know what the speed limits are, what the signs mean and things like that. So what can you do to improve your knowledge? Well, if you're doing an advanced driving course, there's your best start, because you're going to be going out with instructors or with observers who are full of knowledge that they want to impart onto you. They want you to take as much out of them as you possibly can. They're very generous with the time and they're very generous with the knowledge. If you're on a police advanced course, you know, it's the same. You've got professional instructors there who want to impart as much knowledge as they possibly can to help you to pass that test. So while you're participating in that course, never ever hesitate to ask a question. And I'll tell you this coming from an ex-police instructor's perspective. If I had students who were asking questions, I'd be confident that they were switched on and that they were paying attention. And I'd be confident from what kind of questions they were asking me. That would give me confidence if they were asking the right questions, and are they getting a subject. If you've got a classroom or a car full of people who just sit there in silence, there's never any gauge to whether they're picking up on what you're teaching them or not. There's no gauge until you see them go in for the test and see how they perform on test. So please engage with your instructors, engage with your observers. Ask them questions. There is no such thing on these courses as a daft question. When I did my police advanced car course, I really struggled with limit point assessment. I didn't get it. We had the classroom input and I didn't really get it, probably because I wasn't asking enough questions. When we went out on the road, the temptation then was to say, oh yeah, I get that, and actually I didn't. And I had a moment of honesty with my instructor, at which point, very generously, he did a little exercise where we parked the car up and he went and got out of the car and went and stood at the limit point to show me where it is, and then moved the car forward a bit and explained how it was moving around and how that was relevant to us. So big rule for you this, when you're looking to improve your knowledge, ask questions. No such thing as a daft question. Ask. As an instructor, it makes you a better instructor. People ask you difficult questions about some of the concepts around this kind of stuff, around driving and advanced driving. It forces you to be a better instructor. So put us on the spot, ask us. Don't just go away satisfied with what you've got to do. You also want to understand why you've got to do it and what is the benefit. For the instructors amongst you, make sure that the students understand why you're asking them to do something. I can teach somebody to do pull push steering in 5 minutes. It's easy. But are they going to carry on doing that once they've passed the test unless they understand the benefit of it? No, they're not. They're going to go back to doing this. But if they understand that the car's smoother, if you're pulling the steering wheel down, it gives you better control, then they're more likely they're going to carry on using that technique. I'm not saying it's the be-all and end-all of techniques, but if you're going to teach somebody something, make sure they understand why and they understand the benefits of it. Then you've got the theory side of it. Two essential books for you to understand: Roadcraft and the Highway Code. Get yourself the most up-to-date copy that you can of both of those books, because there's been loads and loads of versions of them. Now we're in a bit of a limbo at the moment with the Highway Code, because there are some new rules that have come out and they've all been published online. What they haven't done is published the new Highway Code book itself. So I'm talking to you now from February 2022. And the new edition, the new paperback edition of the book, the Highway Code, is not going to be published until April. But the new online edition is already out and it's free. So like most people these days, if you do your learning online, get online, just Google the Highway Code and you'll find everything that you need to. But there are other books out there that can help you as well. One in particular that I'd recommend, and you can read it online, you don't need to buy it, is the Traffic Signs Manual. And there's about 9 or 10 chapters of the Traffic Signs Manual, covering all the different kinds of traffic signs: regulatory signs, warning signs, road markings, covers primary route boards, all the kind of stuff that you see when you're out on the road. The Highway Code itself includes examples of road signs. The Traffic Sign Manual gives you all of them. Now it's a bit geeky as the Traffic Sign Manual, to be fair. If you want to know what the radius on the corners of the triangle signs needs to be, or what shade of red the banding needs to be on a sign, it'll tell you. I'm not saying you need to have that level of knowledge, but it's quite interesting to have a flick through and improve your knowledge of road signs. So how do you demonstrate this knowledge? Well, I've told you I'm going to ask you some questions while we're out on test, but the best way that you can demonstrate that knowledge is during your commentary. And if you go back through videos in this series about how to pass your advanced driving test, you'll find a video about commentary and about how to give a good commentary and what to include in there. And one of the tips that I gave you was read out the road signs, understand the road signs, understand what they mean. So here we've got warning signs for bend to the right and junction to the left. Couldn't be more plain what those signs mean. The beauty of our road sign system is you can come from any country, any culture in the world. You don't have to speak the language and you'll understand the road signs because the picture tells you what you need to know. But it's really nice during your commentary if you know the correct terminology. This one, for example, means unspecified hazard. Couldn't even say it. Blah, blah, blah. Unspecified hazard, an exclamation mark. And then underneath it tells you what the hazard is. Hidden dips and crests for a set distance. Double bends first to the right and a warning to reduce speed now. So if you can give me that definition of the sign, that's really nice in your commentary. It's demonstrating that your knowledge is good. Having said that, I'm not too bothered. I get all kinds of descriptions of signs. Squiggly road coming up, horseback riders, Humpty Road. Here's the Humpty Road. Doesn't matter that much because you've demonstrated to me that you've got an understanding of what the road sign means. But it's nice if you can give me the accurate and precise description of it. That was a finger post sign, for example, opposite a junction. Up ahead is a chevron board, which indicates a sharp deviation to the right, and a finger post sign opposite a junction. Secondary finger post sign, actually, because it's white with a black border. If it's green with a white border, it's a primary finger post sign, a primary route board. Now, we're going to look up things like route confirmation signs. How you know the difference between a primary route board and a secondary route board. All that information can be found in the traffic signs manual. So, knowledge, okay, you need a good knowledge, roadcraft, highway code, you need knowledge of the environment that we're operating in, which you'll get from your instructors and your observers. What different levels are required for the different types of advanced driving tests? So for IAM Road Sport and for ROSPA, I'll be marking you on your level of knowledge, and I want to see that you've got a good understanding of all those elements that we've described. So to get a pass or a bronze or a silver at ROSPA, you've got to have a good knowledge. You don't need to technically know the wording for everything, but you just need to demonstrate that you know some of the elements of what you've been taught on your course. To get an IM first or a ROSPA Gold, we need a better knowledge, a better level of knowledge, a really good crisp knowledge of roadcraft and system of car control, good knowledge of road signs and road markings, a good knowledge about the environment that we're operating in, and that needs to be consistent throughout the drive. For the police, your knowledge is measured in a slightly different way. Yes, it is measured during your test, don't forget that. Your examiner might ask you a question or two during the test, or they might want to hear you with certain bits of information during your commentary. So try and be accurate and precise about your terminology during your commentary. Don't forget, if you're doing a police driving course, you're more than likely to be a police officer. It's not always police officers, to be clear, but if you're a police officer, especially doing an advanced car course, you should have a good knowledge of road traffic legislation, road traffic signs, because for some of you, especially if you're going on a traffic unit, roads policing unit, that's what you're going to be going out and enforcing, isn't it? So you should definitely have a good working knowledge of those elements. Put it in your commentary, talk to your examiner, be confident in that knowledge. But in the police, you will also be expected to pass written exams on highway code and on roadcraft. Now, I'll tell you what it was when I did my advanced car course in the police and when I was working as an instructor in the police. You had 2 multiple choice exam papers, each with 50 questions, and each question scored 2 points. And to get a second class pass at advanced, you had to score above 75, 76 because it's 2 points, isn't it? And for a first class pass, you had to get over 85 or 86, if you like. To be an instructor, you had to get 100% in both, and we did that test on day 2 of the course. That's how much pressure we were under on the instructor's course. But we're not talking about instructor's courses here. They don't do first and second class passes anymore, and the pass mark became 85%. So you had to get 86 marks or above to pass those 2 tests. Now that was specific to the police force that I worked in, which was Lancashire, and it's quite a while. It's 20 years since I was working in police driver training almost, so that may well have changed in the intervening time, but there will still be a written element, a written exam element to advanced car courses and standard car courses in police forces up and down the country. Now, some police officers used to get a bit shocked with police driving courses because they were so used to courses where you just had to turn up, sit, listen to the input and then go away at the end, what we used to call a turn up and pass course. Police driving courses are not turn up and pass. You've got to work hard. They're hard, and they're hard for a reason, and the written element is hard as well. So you might feel, especially on your advanced car course, you might feel really tired at the end of the day because it is exhausting concentrating for 8 hours a day like that. You might feel like you just want to put your feet up, relax at the end of the day, but get your nose in those books, study, because you could be the best driver in the world. Like I said at the beginning of this, you could be the best driver in the world, you could have perfect car control, absolutely perfect application of the system of car control, really good cornering skills, really good overtaking skills, but if you don't pass that written exam, you're going to fail the course. And that's not what you want, is it? If you've worked hard and you've put all your effort into improving your driving, that's not what you want. So please put the effort into studying for those written exams, very important. So that's it for this video. It's only a little one really about knowledge, but it's almost a reminder to you that there is an element of the test where your knowledge will be checked. And it's important that you put the work in, that you study the books, that you understand regulations and you understand the environment that we're operating in. It's very important. So I hope you found that useful. Don't forget to go and have a look at the website, reglocal.com. Loads more information there about advanced and performance driving and riding. Information about the books that I've written and about how you can get a day's driver or rider coaching with me if you so wish. It's February now, I'm booked up to June at the moment, so if you want to get a day in this year, book early, because very quickly I'll be taking bookings in September. I only do driver coaching at weekends because of my full-time job. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.